OBG.
Hello, I am OBG, and here we are with the OBG show tonight. A little live raw one. I thought I'd come out, have a little chat about something that was bothering me, or something that just came into my mind, as they do. But tonight I want to talk about the effects that telly has on us. This is not going to be one of my deep dives into this philosophy and the psychology of television and how it affects us. It's just a little mood thing, a little raw thing of how television hits us. And television happens to be the biggest form of brainwashing ever. You know, before they'd use live stuff, you know, you go back to the Greeks and further Africa and China and, you know, anywhere really, they'd have the people, educated people, the people had their little code, if you will, communicate to other people who could understand them within their plays or any other kind of form of communication that they had. Then I think the next big thing after that was the printing press. The printing press was a monster. In fact, the printing press was in part, or not even in part, played a massive part in the witch hunts, because the press was invented just a few years before the witch hunts begun, and then they printed an actual document. I forget the name of it. I've done a show on it, which told people how to spot witches, and then they sent out, disseminated all that information in the form of printed press, and it caused a lot of damage. And then I think once our self-appointed leaders understood that we could be controlled so easily, they always knew it anyway, but then they started sending stuff out in the press. So we had all the paper, and then came radio. Now with radio, wow, people believed in radio. People have a trust in systems. People have a trust in government, and they use that to propagate the information. The BBC were probably the biggest and still are the biggest players of that, because we always think of conquest and colonization as a physical, violent force, you know, rampaging through people's countries and decimating the people and so on. But it's also about the voice and the media. And with the BBC placing their little radio masts in every country, they could get that information out to everybody. And then came television. Now, the reason why I believe television is the worst is simply because not only is it the audio, but it's also the visual. And they managed to play every kind of trick they could on people. I think there was a lot of genuine intent in the early days of television. People came out, they wanted to explore this new media, they wanted to communicate with people. There was comedy, there was dancing, there was singing, there were just people sitting there and talking and telling people things. And I really liked some of those old shows. I thought they're trying their best, even though they were monsters, you know, who were delivering it. But it soon became a tool for propaganda. And it came in every single form. Now, we think the propaganda is just when we see the war propaganda, be careful of your neighbors. And my camera's switched off. It's going to switch back on again. It's got this beautiful setup that I put on it. And beautiful, we're back. But what happens is a new camera, provided by Tom McCarthy, H.C. Henderson. I told him what my final needs were. And he said, there you go, boom. And sent a lovely, massive donation. And I got a camera with that. And it's a Canon 6D. It's a classic. It's like a classic car to camera owners. It really, really is. It's amazing. And it doesn't have like tons of features on it. It's got everything you need though. When I say tons of features, it hasn't got like built-in image stabilization on X and Y axis, or, you know, like 6 axes. And it hasn't got some of the bells and whistles that you see on modern cameras. But I was talking to a friend the other day and I said, and he said, we both agreed, how did they take photos before they invented all these like whiz-bang cameras? It was just a shutter going up, exposing the film, the silver halide, to the light. And then it depended on the speed of the shutter and the size of the aperture. And people captured fantastic photos. So now to think that you've got like 400 functions on a camera, it doesn't make you a better photographer. It does aid, because I always manually focus. I've been taking photographs since I was like maybe 13, 12 years old, I'd say. And you just focus manually. And autofocus, I just never use it really. But as my eyes are getting a little bit worse, sometimes I think, oh, have I got that in focus? I think, oh, bollocks, click it onto autofocus, hit the autofocus button. It's got focus points. And then you go, right, that'll do. Yeah, it's in focus, click, and you take the shot. So you've framed a good shot anyway as a photographer, but then autofocus helps. So there's the autofocus. There's the ISO setting. That's nice to have a kind of auto on that as well sometimes, but I manually set my ISO anyway. And the camera has all of those things that you need to make a fantastic photo. It's a full-size frame, which means it lets in tons of light. And my new hobby happens to be astrotheology. I took a photo of the stars the other night and it blew me away. It's nothing special, but you could see all of the stars and it was in focus. So now I want to get one of those shots that you see of the Milky Way, you know, with all the different colors in it and so on. And I've already studied and studied and studied, and I mean I really have over the last, well, before the camera even came, so it's been about 3 months of hard study. So I know how to stack photos, I know how to get the best and so on. So now I've got to go out and put it into practice, and I was happy with my first shot. But the camera also became a medium. People see images and they believe them to be real, and we forget that an image is simply a 2D representation of our 3D world. It's multidimensional, but we can only see or perceive and communicate about the three. And they say times a dimension, but I don't know, to be honest. Anyway, that also became a method of propaganda. They use that in wartime and advertising, and just in general, governments use it. They use it in magazines and newspapers. But then the TV. So back to the TV. Television is the most powerful. It has the sight, it has the sound, it has the effects. And with all of that, armed with all of that, television can change the minds of the nations, even the most hardcore. For me, I think to myself, okay, television won't work on me, and I'm immune from that. I know that's not true, truly, but I think I'm a little less susceptible for the people who don't necessarily do that study. And I think rubbish, 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 rubbish. I don't look at telly, by the way. I suppose it's cheating in a sense. A lot of people say, well, I don't watch telly, and they're proud. But what they mean is, oh, I watch television programs the same as I always did, but I watch them on my phone, or my laptop, or via the connections to my television set. But I don't actually watch terrestrial television. But you're watching telly all the same, isn't it, to yourselves? Anyway, I think with that medium, they've entered the living rooms of all of us, and they've tried to corrupt our minds. So what I was just saying there is, I claim I'm not susceptible. But when I see something that appeals to me and my bias, I'm like, oh, what's that? And boom, I'm in there. And while I'm watching that, then they're still getting some of those messages across. But even then, I tend not to look at the stuff. I just think bollocks, 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 ads, 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 ads. And it's not just the ads. And this is the main crux of the thing tonight. Television has the power to change our minds and to corrupt our minds and to educate us as well. I'm not trying to just be, wholly negative. But they've commandeered it in order to manipulate us in so many ways. I talk to so many people who say television doesn't affect them. And I say, well, I watch the news to be informed. I'm like, how can you be informed by watching a program that gives you a very, very select section of world news in order to manipulate you? What are you gaining from it? What can you gain from that? Oh, I just want to see what's going on in the world. But you're not watching the world, so how can you get? And it goes round, and in the end, I just give up on those people. I think they're ignorant, and ignorance doesn't serve anybody, really. I'm ignorant at times, it happens, not as much as those people. And television, it just permeates everything, and in the end, we sit down and believe it's true. Even films. And the problem with that isn't the film, it's the people. People say, well, it's a film, it's not going to affect me. And it does. For every placement in a film, it's like sort of, oh my God, it's so hot in here. Let me just have a sip of this lemon fresh and Fanta. You see what I did there? I'm getting paid for that. And they'll have product placement, They say, oh man, it's really dark in here. And then they'll have a big zoom in on the torch, And why do people do that in films with torches? When they're searching for lost kids and stuff. It's annoying. You know what I mean? Or hold their torches like this. No one does that in real life. And that's the power of films. You just see it all the time. And we've even based characters and how characters are and how characters act based on what we see in films. I was with my friend once, and some guy was walking along, and he was looking down at the ground and kind of walking like that. And he goes, I bet he's a tough guy. I said, why'd you say that? He goes, look at the way he's walking. I thought, you wanker. It's like, we've got used to that being tough. Why? Because we see the tough guy walking films. We see women's roles. We see roles of Africans, of West Indians, of Irish, of Scottish, of Welsh. And they're typically some kind of caricature of people, even if it's a serious film. You may see a comedy and see a caricature and you think it's funny and you laugh. And that's the beauty of comedy. For me, I love comedy because when I see like a caricature in a comedy, I know that that person's actually making fun. But when they do it in films, I think they're doing it in order to get the message across, or it's the bias of the filmmakers themselves. And this has gone on forever. And if you're in a marginalized group, you often see it, because a dominant group, they see themselves as the heroes all the time, the good looking people, the clever people, the winners, the people. Hello, Adam, good to see you. And it's called Man on the Telly tonight. I'm talking about telly and how it corrupts people, and I'm trying to corrupt people's minds through television. So, you know, with the caricatures and stereotypes, they become part of who we are. They become part of us. But I've got stereotypes that I can't get rid of. They're so well embedded. And then I'll see them in real life, and I think that the person's that way. You see a person dressed in a particular way, and you've seen that on films all the time. All scientists wear white coats, and the ones with the glasses are more clever. In modern films, whenever they have a very high-tech film where there's hackers or someone has to break into the system, they have this portly, you know, like computer guy, and the scene always starts off with him eating a pizza or there's pizza on the desk and so on. And even though that's true, that those people do exist, it's not what the people are who do computer hacking in general. And we build up all of these stereotypes, and the television keeps on reinforcing it and pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, that's going to happen because as humans, we're fickle. Our minds are so susceptible, and people don't understand about their minds. Now, for me, I'm a prude in so many ways. I'm talking about from everything from taking in just a theatrical play to sex. I've always held back because I don't want to know everything about something, because everything about something isn't the right information. You think the more knowledge you know, the wider you are. The more knowledge than you always currently have is better, but to try and know everything, it's folly. And a lot of people just keep on saying, oh, well, you know, you just got to keep on taking it in. It's like, but you're taking rubbish in. And that's what causes the damage. That's where the hurt happens, because a lot of people just say, oh, come on, you know, you're too stuck up. It's only a program about, and I'll think, oh my God. And I'll look at that program and I'll go, wow, that's disgusting. And I don't think it's because I'm a prude. It's because I started to read between the lines a long time ago. And it's so easy to see it. I thought I'd put Iron Man on about a year ago. I thought, oh, let me see that. It was a fun film. I enjoyed it many, many years ago. I put it on. I was like, oh my God, I can't watch this. I was like 10 minutes in. I was going, no, you're being a bit too sensitive. It's just a film. Sit down and enjoy it. But what people forget is this. If you look at Iron Man and superhero films, they're all Avengers and that. They're all military recruitment films. It's just obvious, okay? And they're films that aimed at the young to get them into that, you know, bravado and feeling brave about the military. They're military recruitment. But when you look at Iron Man 1, that film just starts off with, hey, look at me. I'm a, you know, I'm right. I'm an American. And then the film's purely fictional, as they always do. The film may be even set in like the future, but they've got Arabs as the enemy, always the Middle East, you know? And I'm like, I don't understand this. And then as soon as Poland became popular and so on, and started being in the news, you had films like Hostel come out and so on. And Eastern Europe's full of this killer, like crazy people. And the damage that it does to people is unfathomable. And people don't get that because we belong to a people like me who was born in England, who have been the dominant force. And everything that we see, hear, or believe in is truth. And everything else outside of that is untruth. Okay, so what happens is we'll watch these programs and just sit there and suck them in, and they become the truth for us. And because there's a lot of like people from Israel religion making a lot of those films, they put their bias in. I saw like a reel that someone made, and I saw this ever since I was a child. Arabs are the worst people in the world. They're killers, they're bombers, they're the enemy, the enemy, the enemy, the enemy. Black people, black Americans, thieves, pickpockets, junkies, and drug addicts. And now one of the damages that does in films is this. Will there be a point when they start making films and glamorizing black criminals? I don't think so. But we all sit there and go, ha, ha, wicked, see that mafia film last night? And it's like, they were white, you know, Italian criminals. They were murdering, torturing, and extorting money off people. They were really nasty people. They were killing people in the streets. There was a time in all these areas where there was killings every single day, people being shot in broad daylight and so on. Right back to the 30s, if you go back to like Bonnie and Clyde doesn't even invoke fear in people these days. They were lunatics. They killed police. They killed people. But they're like glamorized now. Bonnie and Clyde on the car. She's sexy. He's tough. And, you know, television does that to us. So what I'm trying to get across here is this. If you're unaware of the damage that television does to you on that level, then on the deeper level, you are totally oblivious to it. And you're being led into believing things that aren't true, into demonizing people who are not like you, into demonizing everything that isn't in line with the minds of the people who make those films. And the majority of those films that you see that have no culture, that have no spirit in them, are Western films. And I don't mean Westerns with cowboys, I mean from the West. There's a whole swathe of like Indian films out there which have got some misogyny in. I understand that. But when you look at like other films from countries, they have some cultural depth to it. Oh, it's a horror film, but it's based on an old Japanese tale, which children used to tell each other and so on. So you can go watch them, it's palatable, and it plays on your fears, that thing you liked as a kid. But then you look at a top-selling English film, and it's like, oh yeah, Guy Ritchie's fun geezers going around, right, and they're smashing each other, and others come, and they're smashing them, and then the bank robbers come, and they rob the bank. It's like when you was at school and you saw a play that was written, you was told to perform a play in drama. And so the boy's always done this play. All right, Terry, you go over and you punch him in the face and you come over and you grab the money and you get the guns and you come out and shoot. That's Guy Ritchie all over. And I'm not saying that people are not entertained by it. I'm not trying to put him down for his films for what he does that. But look at the audience. What are their brains like? As soon as you put a film out that has any deeper meaning, which I haven't seen in the longest time coming out of Europe, no one wants to watch it. I can't even think of an example that something's got some deep spiritual meaning or that's linked to childhood stories or to something that's deeper than just a film about fast cars, women being raped and cars. Every film that I can't even imagine what it's like, what it feels like to be a woman, even though like I'm close to understand what it feels like to keep being objectified. When you turn on let's watch this film tonight, you sit with your kids and that, and there's a woman being chased through the forest, being chased upstairs in a house, down into the basement, being violated, being like hurt every single time. Because I feel it when I see like Guy Ritchie films, you know, he always tortures black people or gives them like roles as really dopey and so on. And he may not even being aware he's doing it, you know. I don't like him at all. Anyway, and I don't know him. I don't hate him. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference. I won't get into that now. And there's this stereotype that they keep showing. So you watch a film and everyone knows the joke, you know, like, oh, the black guy's going to get killed first in any horror film and so on. And these are the things that have happened historically. And I'm 60 years old, so I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of black people always being hurt, dopey, stupid, and so on. And I don't like it. But I did at one point. I should just sit there and accept it. So the next black guy I see who's dressed like that, he's a gangster, a criminal, and it works on me. So those people who deny it happens to them, because I may say to someone, oh, I used to think that. Oh, really? I never ever thought that in my life. I'm like, but you watch telly all the time, and I don't watch any telly, and I haven't for 30 years. So some of it must be getting through to you. Or are you that dopey that you can just sit there? And I don't mean that in a negative way. Dopey's nice sometimes. You're chilled, you're not worried. You just watch a film, and you just see exactly what the director wanted you to see. And you didn't see any of the other hidden stuff. But then again, the director wanted to see some of the stuff, and so it must be getting in. And everyone's living in denial of television and the damage it does. Television, switch it off. You won't miss it. It's like a drug. Keep on taking it, you keep wanting more. When you stop, you get cold turkey. But then very quickly with telly, like a lot of people I know who don't watch television, you just don't miss it. So for all of those 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours of television that you're watching, me and the other people, we're reading books or we're making something or we're talking to each other and so on. And you could argue all day long, but it's my right to just sit there and be stupefied and watch television and not tune into doing anything else and keep on watching the propaganda. And I'm like, yeah, but then that's why I call you dopey. And then you argue against that. Oh, I'm not stupid. Who do you think you are? I don't think I'm better than you for not doing that. But I observe it and say, you should at least stand back and observe what you're doing and say to yourself, actually, this is fucking dumb. I'm watching a 2D representation of the 3D world. My whole world is inside of this square. And I sit there every night, glued to it, watching it, eating my dinner, sitting with my children, and it's just throwing out a load of bollocks. And some of it's obvious, but the rest of it I can't see because I'm such a junkie and I'm so tuned into it. Switch your television off. It's that simple. Go and do something else. Why don't you just switch off your television set and go do something more less boring instead? Anyway, hello, Adams. Bollywood films, yeah, Bollywood films are great. You know, on a different level. You know, there's obviously the misogyny's in there. There's a lot of males doing stuff, and it's a cultural thing. but not on the level like you see in English films where people just accept it. I am watching a series at the moment, and it's called Kin. It's a really good Irish crime thriller, and the females have got really wicked roles in it. I like it, and it even made me say the B word because, like, and I don't mind saying that. I can call a woman a bitch if she's doing a bitch role in a film, you know, and they are hardcore. The women in the film are hard. They're part of the crime family, so they've really given them fantastic roles. I think they've given them roles at a level of, in some cases, more powerful than the guys. In fact, one of the guys seems to be losing control, and his wife, and when I say control of his empire, and the wife seems to be pushing to do it. And I'm hooked on it right now. It's a good, lovely power play family thing. And the fact I hardly watch any television, I'm not sure of this, but I think it allows me to enjoy television more because I've watched Breaking Bad, I've watched The Wire, I've watched Us, a serial killer thing, but all of those three I watch with people. It's like me and you, Adam, saying, "Hi, Adam, let's watch this new series together." So we tune in at night, and then after we finally, did you see that today? And we talk about the series and that, and I love doing that with people. And then I've watched about maybe 8 or 9 other series in about 30 years, probably a dozen. So when I do watch a series and I'm into it, it's like fantastic to me. Everything that's good, the makeup, because I don't watch telly and I don't see people. But even I do happen to be around someone's house and they've got their telly, and I look around, I'm like, oh, and I take a double look. Everyone looks like they're really garish and bright and they've got lipstick and makeup on. This is even just on quiz shows or like normal television shows. And everyone seems like they're being patronising. Hello, yous lot. Hello, dumbos. Today, listen, we're going to talk about something really fantastic. And this is a program for adults. And I'm like, wow, it's nice to appeal to the kind of child in people, but no, that's too strong. You're talking to dumbed down people here. I ain't watching none of that because it hurts after a while. And what I say to everyone is this: if you keep on leveling up your game in everything, including life, and I don't mean by competing with everyone else, I mean with yourself, then you can put things behind you, beneath you, or to the side of you, or whatever, but they don't work for you anymore. And we all know this. You used to believe in Santa, and then you don't anymore. You used to watch, say, like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. You'd roll around laughing. It's dead funny. He just slapped him in the face. Oh, look at that man. He just fell over the stairs. He just got a pie in his face, you know, Laurel and Hardy or whatever, even though they're quite timeless, but they're exceptions. And we laughed because we were 7. And then we were 9, and then we were 13, and that stuff doesn't appeal no more. And you don't watch the cartoons you watch, and you don't watch the television shows that you watch. Hello, boys and girls, I'm a puppet, you know, and all that. And you keep on moving on. But what happens is people reach a certain level, and regardless of it being puppets or animation, it's a television show, but it's still wank. But what happens is you won't raise yourself above that level, and so you're always going to enjoy it. You think, oh, come on, it's just entertainment, I'm always going to love this stuff. But I'm telling you, if you educate yourself and elevate yourself, that stuff doesn't appeal anymore. And I don't think I'm above people for this, but I'm above the television for it. So what happens is if I happen to be sat there and something comes on in a friend's house, and my friends nearly always turn their tellies off, you know, when they have visitors, but sometimes it just happens to be on if I've knocked, you know, not saying I'm coming round, which I love you can do in Spain. You don't have to make an appointment like in England. I'll be around on Thursday at 4 o'clock, be ready. And you know, you're like, oh my God, and you're just watching it, and it's like, oh my, and it hurts you. It's like someone just coming out and going to, okay, listen, tonight, adults, we're going to tell you a little story, okay? Once upon a time, and then they start with some story for 11-year-olds, and this is television in general. And every now and then something comes out good, and no one really likes it, but you're forced to like it because once again, the media says, oh, there's this fantastic series on television, and then they tell you what it's about, and not only about what it's about, but they tell you what you're meant to get from it. So now all the dopey people who love the little fucking children's 11-year-old stories are going, oh, did you see that Ark of the fucking Covenant last night? It's fantastic. What they tried to do, it's like it implied there was and then they're quoting exactly what they read in the newspapers, but they can't take that for themselves, because they've not elevated themselves. And it's annoying. So I say to everyone, as an appeal, turn the television sets up. Even just try 1 week without television. And you won't do it. And it's not because it's the strength of me. Oh, no, don't bother. I'm not going to do it because he said so. Like, what power does he have over me? Or it's not that important. It's because you can't. Anyway, yeah, it's a nice treat when you don't watch it constantly, continuously. Yes, that's what I think I get out of it if I turn a series on. I'm rubbish at series. My friends will know this. I'll tell you. No, actually, My friends know me best. If they tell me to watch a series, I watch it. And this is every series I've watched has been recommended by my sister, my brother-in-law, or really, really close friends. Us was my niece, and we watched that together. And everything else, I found one or two along the way. But what happens is I'll watch 2 episodes and then I give up almost always. And you may say that's my failing, but what I just explained prior to this was it's like becoming you're a graduate, and once you've graduated and got a master's, the stuff in the first year doesn't mean anything to you anymore. It's just boring, and you don't want to watch it anymore. You can see, how it works. It's like being a football coach, and you've got 15-year-old boys and 70-year-old boys you're training, and you're 40 years old. You've been around football. You're like, you can see every fault that they do, and they think they're doing well. You go, no, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. It's like being a boxing teacher. You tell people no. You can see as soon as someone walks in, by their lane, by their gait, and then after seeing them for a while, you can see where all their nearly almost all their errors are and how they can improve. And when you start watching a series which is just made for pop culture viewers, as you are, it's a typical series. It's the same as that series, but they've just got different costumes on. This guy meets this woman, they has a fight with him, this happens and that happens. And you can see the plot straight away, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But every now and then something just switches. Maybe in the first, second episode, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. This must be good. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll sit there and I think, wow, they've done a fantastic job here. Not just because I liked it, but I've kind of sit back, and it's hard to have an objective view in life, obviously. But I think they've not used a standard trick here. What they've done also with the camera, they've not used that like Virgil. Their cameras are higher than usual, and all these little things that I'm spotting. And I go, this is going to work. No wonder people liked it. It's different to what they're used to. But for the things that are not different, and there's not many of them, because you can't have something different all the time, I don't know how people can sit and watch every series that comes on telly and talk about them like they're new. Oh, you've seen Game of Thrones. Have you seen what's the name? Jason Meadows wrote a beautiful one-liner about a shit series, Walking Dead tonight, and all these other series. And I'm like, and they watch all the Star Treks and all the others, and then they have the cheek to point something out that others like, oh no, I don't like that sort of stuff. That's rubbish. And it's like, really? Really? Anyway, Adam, have you got anything you want to say or ask any more questions? Yeah, sorry, I didn't see your other comment. Arabs or Russians? If you're still there, anyway, if you've got a question or you want to say something, do so, because I'm going to switch off in a second. And while Adam's waiting for that, I'll just say this is what television does to you. They'll just throw noises in, and it adds effects. Like people used to watch. I remember I spotted this when I was about 19, I suppose. I was watching Candid Camera, and there was a slap or something. I thought there's no way that was picked up on the mic, and it just sounded off key. It didn't have the same like reverb or whatever it was. And I know they've got quality people who add all that stuff, but then I thought they put that slap in afterwards. They put those spot effects in afterwards, and the point of putting them in is obviously to work your mind, to have an effect, and that's fine. That's why television works. But it's for the trickery, like me. I could just tell my worst joke, and so he fell over. Yeah, I know. And yeah, I get it. And his name was Roger. And people don't get it. But they wouldn't, would they? Yeah, thank you. I'm every week. And this is what happens, it's fake. And people claim they know it's fake, but the point is when you keep watching fake stuff enough, then the fake stuff becomes real, and that's not a good way to treat a mind that we believe, and I know you do too, should be ascending. And that's the majority of people, because a lot of people are just happy to say, no, this is me. I've got this level of education. I've got this level of knowledge about the world. I've got this work. This is my world, and I'm not going anywhere else. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I used to find that hard to deal with at first, but it's like each to their own. We're only people after all. And I accept that. But I think the majority of people who are racing, who are claiming to be the best, who are trying to make things better, who claim they're kind and altruistic, and who claim that they're knowledgeable and claim that they want to change the world, they're not doing anything that proves that by sitting there and just watching television and then quoting television. People have forgotten real life. You talk to someone and they'll go, oh yeah, did you know that, you can get like a hematoma, whatever it is. Bloody, I didn't listen in class, okay? And they'll go, oh yeah, on South Park, and they'll talk about South Park. But it's not necessarily just knowledge about a particular thing. It's about human relationships. So Oh yeah, South Park. Oh yeah, Family Guy. And I'm like, wow. Not only are you watching real life that they try to, imitate in film, but you're watching cartoons again like children. And what they're doing is they've got you pulled in with your childlike minds, sitting there going, that's brilliant, that's real life, that is. That's so real. It's not. So, switch off your television sets. Oh, it's getting hot in here.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
I get you about telly. I often have months of telly detox, but do love a good series, mainly like interesting, documentaries that are not AI generated. Absolutely, the AI is getting out of hand, isn't it? I can go on a rant right now, but I'll save that for another show. Thanks for being there with me, keeping me company tonight, Adam. And we'll have a chat on PM soon. Not tonight, I've got to do some stuff. And thanks for watching, anyone who stayed the course. And remember, in order to do amazing things, you have to be amazing. You are amazing, and I am the OBG.